Hello, how are you doing? Here we are. How are you? Are you well? It is fantastic to see you. I look a little bit orange in the light tonight, don't I? I don't know why that is. As you can see, I'm back in Nottingham, back in my little room, little study, little studio. And yeah, it's really nice to be back. I've had a nice couple of days. I got back on Monday morning, and I'm going to tell you all about that in a minute because it was a bit of a mission to get back. But first, most importantly, I'm going to open this beautiful beer. I was thinking actually as a name for these 5 lives, because I'm not quite sure about calling them 5 Live, because in the UK, as I said, that's a radio station in which they talk about sports and stuff. But I was thinking books and beer. What do you reckon? Books and beer, Wednesday at 5, something like that. Because invariably, I've enjoyed opening a beer. This is a Johannes, which a friend of mine bought me for my birthday. I've kept it for over 2 months now. That's really good going. Here's the sound. Books and beer, Wednesday at 5. What do you think? Chuck a thing in the comments. Hi, Ian. Hi, Alison. Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you. I'm going to pour this with sort of some kind of dramatic reverence now. And let you listen. There we go. Books and beer. Sam, how are you, mate? I went to school with Sam. Not seen you for what? Gosh, a long time. Must be 10, 15 years, mate. Are you well? Hi, Steve Moore. Books and beer winner, count me in. Yes. Cheers. That's a nice one, isn't it? Look at the colour of that. That's beautiful. Books and beer it is, Wednesdays at 5. Fantastic. Great to see you. So if it's the first time you've watched this, welcome. It's fantastic to be able to talk to you. My name is Luke. I always say that. I tend to say that at the start of the videos, like I say, hi, how are you? I'm Luke, as if that's like a state of being, you know, as if like that's that's how well you are or not. Sam, I'm going to put his comment on the screen, actually. Where are we? Very long time. I live in Finland. Yeah, I think I knew that. I think we've spoken since you moved to Finland. You've been there a long time, haven't you? I think, or maybe you were just going when we spoke last time. That's fantastic. Finland is it's relatively close to where I was last week. I was in Latvia last week. And if we weren't if I didn't had a bit more time, I would have traveled through to Estonia and then got the ferry up to Helsinki. But that's a trip for another time, I think. Alison says she's liking the sound of that. Ian says, that's a lovely blonde. It is beautiful. Beautiful and blonde. We're talking about the beer. If Bond's wife or my future wife is watching, we're talking about the beer. That's it. And it's a beautiful beer. Is anyone else joining me for a 5 o'clock beverage for books and beer? I like it. It works really nicely. It works really nicely. So, yeah, back from Latvia. Back in the UK, which is nice. And I'll tell you what, it's been really, really good to come back and enjoy being back here again. You know, when you're in a new place, you're really excited to be there and you sort of look around at everything in a really excited way. I've taken about 100 photos of the trams in Latvia. In Riga, because they've got these old school trams, and after a couple of days I wasn't that excited by the trams at all, but it was because they were different. But now coming back to Nottingham, I'm like, oh, this is cool, you know, it looks really good. And I cycled around the lake that I like to cycle around, and yeah, saw my missus, which was great, actually, to be fair, as I knew it would be, of course. Honey, yes, it was going to be lovely. I was looking forward to it. I'm on dangerous territory here, move on quickly. Ian saving me. He says I'm having a nice squash by Morrison's. Yes, can't beat a glass of squash, can we? So yeah, that's it. And I had a really complex journey on the way back from Latvia, and I will tell you about that in a second. I want to say thank you to everyone who turned up to my chat with Ernie on Friday. Me and Ernie Dempsey had a beer together on Friday night. And it was great fun. He was a really nice guy. We had a great chat together. It lasted for about an hour and 20 minutes in the end. We just rabbited on. So thank you if you were there, and thank you if you listened to it all the way through as well. I have shared it on my Facebook page, so if you are interested in watching that, do so. we talk about my books, his books, our writing process, our travels, our want to go to different places. Like he lives in Tennessee and in the US, and he was talking about coming over to England, and I was saying it'd be really nice to go over to see him as well. It's great to connect with people who are into writing as well. I really enjoy that. It's a real positive thing about this whole sort of process, this writing process. So yeah, and I've got a topic of discussion to pose to you again, as per normal. Where is it? Here we go. There we are. That's the question. What makes a great book cover? What do you think? Put that in the comments, and I will come to that later at the end of my monologue, because this is a monologue. At the end of that, and we'll talk through what you think. What do you think makes a great book cover? And I've got a little bit of a challenge for you, which I think could be really interesting, or a complete waste of time and rubbish. It could go one of two ways. I'll pose that. I'll suggest that later on. First of all, tell me what you think makes a great book cover. I know, I suppose it depends on the book and the style of book and all those sorts of things, but there are certain things I think are sort of common, aren't there? So yeah, this laborious journey back from Latvia, it was a bit of a nightmare actually, in that it just took ages. I wanted to come back I was checking out of the place I was staying on Sunday, and because of not many people traveling at the moment, flights have just been reduced to 2 or 3 a week, which was fine. I knew that was going to be the case actually. And there was one on Sunday, which was brilliant. But it was at 11 o'clock in the evening, and I could have checked into a different B&B or hotel and gone on Tuesday or Wednesday at a more reasonable one. But I thought, actually, I'll stick with that. It'll be fine. So I checked out of the place about midday, walked into the city. Everywhere was closed because they're having a sort of lockdown as well over there. So everywhere was closed. So I walked around for a couple of hours, just sat around reading my book on a bench and chilled out whilst the weather was nice. Then it started raining. I was like, oh, this is a bit crap, isn't it? This isn't quite so good. So I went and bought some food in a little restaurant, cafe sort of thing. I sat at the table and he bought me the food in a bag. And I started to sort of eat it, and he was like, "No, you can't eat it in here." And I was like, "What?" He said, "You got to take it away. It's the law at the moment." So this guy chucks me back out onto the street. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. My flight's not for 6.5, 7 hours or something like that. So I'm there. I sat actually on the steps of the Royal Opera House. It's not the Royal Opera House. It's called the National Opera House. That's it. I'm saying Royal because that's what the one in Nottingham's called. I sat on the steps of the National Opera House and ate these noodles out of a carton whilst it was raining in the rain. And after that, I thought, oh, no, I can't do this. I'll get over to the airport early. So I got over to the airport by about 5. So I was there a solid 5.5, 6 hours early for my flight, which was fine. I think I was the only passenger in the airport, maybe 1 or 2 other people that I saw whilst I was there. I went to the pub in the airport, which was nice, bought a £6 beer or €6 beer and was like, oh, I'm not having this. This is way too expensive. So I found a little duty-free shop, which was selling cans for €1.50. So I bought a couple of cans from there, found a nice sofa and just lay back on the sofa in this whole area to myself, watching something on Netflix on my phone for 5 hours. I had about 4 beers. It was really nice. Kept one of the beers aside, and that's important because that plays into the story later. Then I got on the plane, had a row to myself, which was great. Lying back, really, really good, really cool thing. And we flew at 11:30. Got into Manchester at 12:30. Now I was thinking this will be fine. My bus was at 5:30 in the morning. Sorry, my train was at 5:30 in the morning. And I thought, it's an airport. It's always open. I'll sit in the airport. I'll read my book. I might even get on with some work if I'm feeling up for it. Find a little coffee shop, chill out. Anyway, I walk out into the airport departures, the arrivals area. Everything's shuttered. And there's actually guys there, fully masked up, just moving people along, making sure no one stops in the airport at all. So we get kicked straight out into the cold outside Manchester Terminal 1. I'm like, this is really rubbish. Like, there's nothing here. I think, okay, it's fine. I'll go to the station. It's midnight. There's definitely trains still running from Manchester Airport at midnight. And I went there, and the station was locked with chains around the doors. Like literally, the doors were locked together. I thought, I looked at my phone. I got 5 hours till this train leaves. Anyway, I knocked on the door of the station, made such a racket that the station manager came out and said, you know, what are you doing? And I said, mate, I've got a train to catch in 5 hours from this station. I've been kicked out of the airport. Is there anywhere I can wait? So he unlocked the door, let me into a waiting room on the platform. When I say waiting room, it wasn't luxury, of course. It was like a shed on the platform with a couple of plastic benches in there, and no heating, nothing like that. I tell you what, waiting in there for 5 hours for this train, I was so cold. They didn't even have toilets to use. Like every time a train would come into the platform to wait for the next people to get on to go back again, I'd run on and use the toilet and come back off again. Honestly, it was such a laborious journey. Couldn't sleep because it was so cold. But to make it slightly better, I'd managed to save a beer from Latvia. So I had that while I was sat in this freezing room on my own for 5.5 hours on the way home. Do you know what, though? It's those sorts of things when you're traveling, when you're seeing a new place, that I think you just sort of take in your stride, don't you? They all become a little bit part of the adventure, the fun of all those stories. Although I was absolutely shivering for a while then. But yeah, it was good. It was good. Finally got home at about 10 o'clock in the morning. Back to, no, it was about 9 o'clock. I got back to Nottingham. Tired, having been awake for 24 hours other than a couple of, half an hour sleep on the train. But I made it. It was fine, and I had said that had been a concern. And a few people asked me, what happens if you can't get back from Latvia? And I had sort of, I knew that it was going to be a difficult journey because the flights weren't very frequent, because there might be extra things in place. Actually, getting through immigration was fine. I showed them the form that I've got. Latvia isn't a country from which you have to isolate, so that was fine. Getting through actually into the country was fine. It was the transport within the country that was the issue, but that's fine. It's what you accept, I think, when you do go to some adventurous places, and I'm absolutely fine with that. Yeah, long journey though. Right, that's a question I'm asking you. What makes a great book cover? What do you think? Put that in the comments for me, and we'll have a conversation about that at the end of this ramble. Intelligible ramble or unintelligible ramble. Even if you're doing this afterwards, even if you're watching this afterwards, I do keep looking back at these. I noticed the one last week got loads of views. About 150 people viewed it over the course of. There was a dozen or so on the thing at the time. We were chatting and whatever, who were popping in and out. But yeah, afterwards there was loads who did that, and a few comments came in as well. So yeah, thank you if you're watching this afterwards. Pouring myself a bit more Johannes. I wonder where this one's from. Johannes. Not sure, to be honest with you. So yeah, Alison says the cover should reflect the story. Yes, I agree with you. So it should, if it's a romance, it needs to look like it's romantic. If it's a story that's a thriller, it needs to look sort of thrillery. Is that what you mean, Alison? Or do you think the cover should sort of tell the story? You've got the characters on there, perhaps, doing something or thinking something or showing. You wouldn't see them thinking something, but showing something. Okay, right. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I want to talk about this Koh Tao. That's it, my novella, Koh Tao. Here it is. It's the first book in my Leo and Allissa series. This is the it's sort of the prequel novella. You can get it for free now in ebook form, and there's the link to do it. There it is. What I'm asking for a bit of a favor though, actually. Because I've given this away for free quite a lot. It doesn't have many reviews on the review sites, on the selling sites, Amazon and Kobo and all those sorts of things. And because of that, it doesn't get many people that buy it through those means. And in fact, it's free on there as well, but it's not getting many people that download it through there because it hasn't got many reviews. So I'm really doing a push and trying to get everyone I can to leave a review about this book on those sites. I'd be massively, massively, massively appreciative if you can do that. If you go to this link, Luke Richardson Author / bookshop.com/reviews, and then click on Koh Tao. It will give you a list of all the places that you can buy, and just click on the ones that you are a member of, or you've got an account with, or that you'd be happy to do a review for me on. And and leave that. I would massively appreciate it, because this one's struggling a little bit because it's got less reviews than the others, and it's the first in the series. So I really want to get people into reading it and enjoying it. But because it's one of the newer books, in fact, it's the latest book to be written, it's behind the others. Do you see what I mean? It's behind the others in terms of the reviews it's got, but it is the first in the series. So I really need to try and get that up. So if you can, if you're able, and you've not done that already, I'd massively, massively appreciate that. And of course, you can get a free copy of it anytime you'd like. And that leads me on to my review of the week. It's of Koh Tao. I'm going to hold this up. In fact, I've got it. I've got the cover somewhere. So I'm that organized. There it is. You see? Hey. The review of the week is of this book as well. Love, life, and heartbreak collide in Thailand. What should be the vacation of a lifetime turns tragic for Leo and Maya on the island of Koh Tao. Leo's life has changed so much since Maya came into it. For the past 2 months, they've been traveling the world, just the two of them, creating a paradise for themselves at each location they visit. Koh Tao and its beachfront resort should be a lovely, relaxing finish to their vacation. But when Maya goes missing, Leo's trip turns tragic. I love that phrase, trips turn tragic. Will who be able to find her? You have to see. You have to find out by reading the book. Thank you, reviewer. I can't. Yeah, that's a great review. Thank you. If you're able, if you've read it, please do pop down there and leave a review. That would mean so much to me. It would really help me get a few more copies of this book out so that it can start selling the others, which are on the shelf behind me. New York is not actually there at the moment, as you can see. I've left my copy of it in my bag. I need to get it up on the shelf. Right, let's have a look at these comments. Steve Moore is talking about the question that I'm posing to you today. What makes a great book cover? What do you reckon? Have a comments in the answers in the comments, please. Remember, this also goes out on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So if you're watching on one of those platforms and no one's commenting, that may be because people are commenting on the other platforms. So you are not on your own. I'm not talking to myself. I can see you there. So please just pop a comment in if you've got something to say about that question, and I'll go through them in a minute. Okay, so my next book, New York. Big news on New York. I have been through the edits of it this week. It is crumbling into shape. It is tightening up. It's like, I always think editing, when you see people making things out of iron and they've got like an anvil, that's it, isn't it? And the hammer, and they're like battering, like a thing around the curved edge, and there's sparks flying everywhere, and there's a big noise of the hammer hitting. It's a bit like that. And then when they finished, they've got this beautiful, dainty sort of piece of like a vase or a plate or something, or a bowl. They've that sort of violence, that sort of aggression with the thing has created something beautiful. Editing's a little bit like that, because at the moment I'm seriously knocking this manuscript into shape. I'm taking bits out, I'm rewriting sections. I just want it to be as good as it possibly can be. I think I've learned from the first 3 books that I don't want it to go out until I'm happy with it. I don't want, with this book now and with my books in the future, to be going back and re-editing them like I have done with Kathmandu and Hong Kong. I want them to go out, and I want them to be out, and I want to move on to the next one and to be proud of what they are and been really happy with them. That's not to say I wasn't proud of the first 2, but I am. I'm pleased. I've developed as a writer since then, and I'm pleased to have re-edited them more recently. So yeah, I'm getting there. I got to the end of my read through now. There's a couple of bits that I have very heavily rewritten. I'm going to go back and read through those again tomorrow, and then that'll go over to my sort of pre-readers, my better readers, and they will come up with a few changes, a few tweaks, and then it'll be coming out to you. So I reckon 2.5, 3 weeks, something like that, and I'll tell you whilst I'm on these chats and on my mailing list as well. Hi, John. How are you doing, mate? Good to see you. Are you working tonight, John, or are you able to join us for a beer now? John, what do you think in answer to this question then? What makes a great book cover? What do you reckon? What do you reckon? Yeah. So, yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I will, all right, New York. Yeah, so that will be done in the next couple of weeks, and I cannot wait to share that with you. I would love to get as many pre-orders for that as I possibly can. I'm doing pre-orders on that this time, and they are here. It's a good number of pre-orders already. I'm pleased to see. I can see a little graph comes up on my dashboard. You can pre-order it from Amazon, from Kobo. I think there's one other, iBooks, I think, allows pre-orders. That does mean it's not in, because I've done it on many platforms, that's not in Kindle Unlimited. Is that an issue for you, actually? Maybe that's another conversation for another live chat. Do you use Kindle Unlimited? Would my books not being in Kindle Unlimited, so you had to pay for them rather than pay for them through your subscription, would that put you off taking a chance on my writing if you'd never heard of me before? What do you think? What do you think? Oh, Alison, can you have my scribbled copy of Kathmandu? Yes, you can. Message me your address and I'll send it over. In fact, this is what something I was gonna suggest. Excuse me, I'm just grabbing something from up here. Oh, now I've got here. Alison wants my edited copy of Kathmandu, which is one of these. Don't know which one it is, Alison. Find it somewhere. There it is. It's that one. Right. So I've got here a number of copies of Kathmandu. Right. I bought one of them's going to Alison. That one's sorted already. That's the one with the notes in. So that's going to you, Alison. Send me your address. I'll send that this week. These three, all right, are limited edition, special copies of my first novel. And they're limited edition because they're the versions that were printed before the edit I've just done. All right. So they're not as tight as the new version. They're a little bit longer. There's a few little bits in there that I wouldn't write now, that I've sort of got better, the way they're explained and all that sort of thing, the way they're described. But I'm going to keep one for myself because I want to have like an original version myself. Okay, so I'll pick one for myself, and that'll stay on my shelf as like the first book I wrote. There's two more. I don't want to sell them because I don't want to part money with someone for a book that isn't as tight as I can make it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't sell them to anyone. What do you think? Could I do it? Should I do a competition? Do you reckon? Maybe I should hold on to them till like Kathmandu's second or third. What do you call it? Second or third birthday or whatever, and give them away then. I don't know. I'll have a think. You have a think as well. Let me know what you reckon. I'm up for suggestions. I don't want to sell them. I don't want them just sitting on my shelf gathering dust either. I want to do something with them, and that's my one of Hong Kong, my scribbled version of Hong Kong. So I'll do a competition to give that away as well at some point too. Okay. Pre-ordered. Have I decided on the price yet? Alison says yes. Let's have a look. I can't exactly remember what it is. I think I've done a new pricing structure throughout my novels. And I think what I've gone for, yes, novels, $2.99, dollars and pounds and euros. And so Hong Kong, Berlin, New York, $2.99. Kathmandu's $1.99 because it's like the first in the series, and Koh Tao at the moment is free. So that's the pricing structure I've gone at the moment, and we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that sits and how that goes forwards. Ian says competition that I would win would be great. Thanks. I think any competition you'd win might be good, mate. John says I'm good. I'm not working tonight. Way. Cheers. A good book cover should be a bit mysterious and intriguing. Yes. And in fact, I think I've just come up with an amazing idea. Did you see that? Just like a spark come out of my head when I came up with that amazing idea. I'm going to tell you about it in a second. Steve says, auction one for charity. I'll join you for a live chat and we'll auction a couple each. That's a great idea, isn't it? Yeah. So I was thinking about doing more charity, something for charity. I think that could be really real positive thing, actually. Competition would be great. And Martha, hi Martha, how you doing? Competition sounds good. Martha got a load of airtime when I was chatting with Ernie on Friday. Martha, if you don't know, is my wife to be. We're getting married in April, and she was on the chat and she kept commenting, and Ernie was chatting to her. She got more attention than I did, I think. Honestly, it was great that she was there. Right. Okay, so we're talking about book covers, aren't we? That's my thinking, right? And I had a bit of an interesting idea, an idea that hi Ken, how you doing, mate? Ken's locked in. Good to see you, dude. Good to see you. I do intend, actually, after our conversation last week, because I talked about having other authors on these monologues as well, so it's actually a conversation. And yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think I will do that in future. Now, if I can call it beer and books, you see, that could be the thing. I'm sure Steve would be happy with having a beer and talking about books. I'd bet that Ken would probably go as far as to have a beer and talk about books for an hour as well. Alison says it was a great evening on Friday. It really was. It was lovely, wasn't it? Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's a weird one, that, because I was, like I'm now, just sat talking on the webcam, chatting, and it was getting really late. It was because I was 2 hours ahead of UK time. It was 2 a.m. by the time Ernie and I finished talking. And I got off the thing and felt like I'd had a night out because I'd spoke to so many people. There'd been comments coming up in the chat, all sorts going on, Ken says, yes, he'd be up for a beer and some books, talking about books. In fact, Ken, you've got a new book out this week, isn't it? Post it in the comments, Ken, and I will mention it in a moment. If you put that in the comments now, I will tell everyone, thousands of people that watch me ramble on and drink beer, about your new book. Ken's books are brilliant, by the way. They're quite a Tarantino-esque mashup of detective thrillers and zombies. It's a real good twist. I love them. Okay. Here is my challenge to you. Now, as I've spoke to you about already, I have planned a book in Riga. I think it will be the one that comes out after New York. I'm not going to write it yet. I've got the book I'm working on with Steve to finish after I've finished editing this. Then I might do some audiobooks. I'm thinking of having a break from writing, crack on with audiobooks for a few weeks, then come back to writing after that. Just to give myself a break, because I've been writing and editing constantly this entire year. And I love it completely. I wouldn't change it for the world. And thank you so much for helping me and joining me on that exciting challenge. But it is nice to have a month off and concentrate on something else. So I think I'm going to crack on with the audiobooks. But I'm going to do the Riga book after that. And it got me thinking, because on my Hong Kong book, on Hong Kong, here it is. The front cover is a photo I took whilst I was in Hong Kong. My designer was really struggling to find a photo that we both liked for the cover. So I said, I'll just send over some of the holiday photos I took whilst I was there. And we chose this one. And I think it's come out really, really nicely. I think it's a fantastic cover. So it got me thinking about this. Now, I took this photo whilst I was in Riga on the other night. Whilst I was walking to the bus station. Here it is. I took this photo. Oh, I'm going to try and peer around the edge. Here we go. I took this photo and I love it. I think that would make just such a fantastic cover. You've even got the guy there, like Leo is always in my books, sort of with his back to the camera looking out at the city. I just think that maybe change the color, although I like the dark blue, but maybe it's too similar to Hong Kong. Maybe we need a different color because Hong Kong is dark blue as well, isn't it? There it is. It's a technological mess, this, isn't it? There we are. And you've already got the character in there, Absolutely love it. I think that could work so well. So my challenge was to you, right? To as like a photo cover challenge, right? If you've got any cool photos that you took, it doesn't have to be of Riga. This isn't, I may not actually use these on book covers ever, but it was just a fun thing to think about. Last time you went somewhere, right? Have a look back through your photos. If you found any that look amazing, that look like they could be a book cover set in that place, let's send them over. And maybe on this chat next week, I will share some of your images that you think could make great book covers. And then we'll have a vote, or I'll decide, or whatever, and you will get, if you enter with the photo cover challenge, you can tell I've put loads of thought into this, you get a original copy. I'll sign it as well. I will write you a nice message inside of Kathmandu. What do you reckon? Good idea? Good idea? What do you think? Have a look at the comments. Could be a good cover. Yeah, I think so. Sam, I assume you've been to Riga as well, because it can't be, it's not a million miles from where you live. You live in, what part of Finland do you live in? Steve Moore would have some fantastic photos, actually, wouldn't he? Yeah. Steve, have you ever used, Steve or Ken, have you ever used a photo you've taken on your book covers? Or have you always used sort of stock images? Because often they have, a photographer puts their images up on a website, and book cover designers and all sorts of other people can buy them. Ken says, yes, thumbs up. Eastern Finland. Oh, all right. Gosh, so long. I don't know. Is it quite rural then? It must be, mustn't it? Because I think Finland is, other than the big cities, I imagine it's quite a rural place. Right next to the Russian border. Gosh. So, oh, Sam, I need to pop over there and see you, don't I? That's the long and the short of this. There needs to be a novel set in your place, in your town. What's your town or village called, Sam, where you live? I used a photo of my alley beside my house once. That sounds quite dubious, if I'm honest, Ken. Yeah. Oh, Ken, put your book details in here and in the chat, and I'll shout it out in a moment. John says, great idea. My photos are all from run-ins and around Saddleworth. Saddleworth could be a good place for a novel, I reckon. Sam says yes to, oh, it being rural. That's what I asked you, didn't I, when we said that? Steve, yes, the new one, Curse of Kings, has my own photo. Yes. Steve, I'm massively excited for this Curses and Kings. Steve's been teasing us with this new book for ages. And I'm really excited for the to actually read it. Although your new book, your Day of the Dead book, Steve, is fantastic. I've read and reviewed that as well recently. I think I did it 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, something like that. I'm currently reading a Jack Reacher, the first Jack Reacher book, which I haven't read a Jack Reacher book in ages. Lee Child. Right. Here's Ken's book. Okay. All right. Let me just copy that into my. Oh, I can't seem to do that. Vampires and Gangsters. Excuse me. Vampires and Gangsters. No, that's not it, Ken. It's not coming up with it, but we'll share it another time. I can't see that from here, but I suppose people in the chat can click on that. Sam says his villages or his town is called Kitty. Is it Kitty? And or is it Tokmarev? Tokmarev. So how's that pronunciation? Tokmarev. Probably very, very poor, I imagine. So yeah, that's the challenge. Over to you then. Send me a picture that could be a book cover. That could be a book cover if I was to set a book in the place where the picture is taken. I'm not saying, it will be used necessarily, but it could be quite good fun, couldn't it? And the winner of that, we will decide on next week's Beer and Books, or Books and Beer. It should be Books and Beer, shouldn't it? Because books is the first and most important thing that we're talking about. Beer is like the thing that we drink whilst we're doing it. Go. Ken sent in another really long link. If you're watching this on Twitter and YouTube, all these are coming through on Facebook, all these comments that I'm talking about. So you're not alone. It's not just me talking to you. You can put a link in. You can put a comment in YouTube and Twitter as well, and you'll see it there. Okay. Fantastic. Steve says nonsense. Beer is life. True. Cheers to that. I'm going to have a couple of beers tonight. I've worked hard today. I've done, as I say, I've finished that edit. I had something I needed to record yesterday, which I've done. It's been quite a productive week. Yeah, been good. Productive week. Being back in the Midlands, back in England. Okay. What we're talking about then? What makes a great book cover? We've had quite a number of comments about that already. We've talked about the color. Talked about the genre. I mean, do you think, is there a particular color that you think stands out? Because I'm getting to the problem now with my books. Let's have a look at them on the shelf behind me. And then New York is red, although that's not up there. I'm getting to the problem now that I'm running out of primary colors to go with. So when Riga, if that's the next one, which I think it will be, I wanted it to be Istanbul. The idea was that it was Istanbul, but then I went to Riga and came up with this great story idea and think I should go into that whilst it's fresh before I do anything else. I'm sort of running out of primary colors because I've got purple, orange, blue, green, red. What do I go for next? Maybe it's got to be, I don't know. Another question. That's going to get a bit difficult, isn't it? If I keep going through the colors. Beer is life and black coffee. Is that essential writing fuel, Ken? Black coffee. Do you need that to keep going? Yellow and light blue still to use. Yeah, but Kathmandu's sort of yellowy, isn't it? Although it's orange at the top, it's yellow sort of down here, you see. I think light blue is probably the goer. Black, just a black cover with a yellow title. I think light blue could be the goer, actually, because that was the color of the photo I shared, wasn't it? Where is it? There we are. You see, make that a bit lighter. We could be onto a winner. All right. Reminder of a couple of things, and then I'll wrap up and let you guys and girls get on with your evening. I don't want to rattle on for ages and ages and ages. Free copy of Koh Tao, if you haven't already, is there. Over 100 people have downloaded it this week. I'm really impressed with that. I've not really done any promotion in terms of, I've told people about it on here. You guys, I've told people about it on when I chatted with Ernie. I posted about it on social media a couple of times. I've not done any adverts or anything, but 100 people have downloaded, so I'm really pleased with that. If you know anyone who likes thrillers, if you haven't got a copy yourself, feel free. I would also love, as I say, it would appreciate it so much to get a couple more reviews on Koh Tao. It's got less than 10 on both UK and the US Amazon. Which is it's a good sort of sign, the Amazon one, as to how well it's doing, because it's the biggest store. And I would really, really like to get that up to a bit, I think I need about 20 reviews on there, I think, for people to take that seriously. So I really would appreciate that massively if you could go onto there and do that. The easiest way to do that is if you can go Amazon website and just search Koh Tao. If you search Koh Tao, Kohtao, Koh Tao, my book, is the first thing that comes up. I don't think many people search Koh Tao. And the other thing is that way of spelling Koh Tao, there's 5 or 6 different ways to spell it. I just had to choose one and stuck with it. I don't know if it's the most common or whatever. But anyway, yeah, I'd really appreciate it if you could spend a couple of minutes doing that. It would mean the world to me. It would really help me make a bigger impression than I am already. Should have gone to Specsavers. Is that something I said a few minutes ago, Steve? I'm confused about what. How about Riga in the snow? Yeah, that'd be a lovely picture, wouldn't it? A lovely image to sort of have to sort of use of as a book cover. Yeah, so if you can do that, I'd massively appreciate it. LukeRichardsonAuthor.com/reviews. And if you go to that, you get a link to all my books, and then you click on the book and you've got a link to all the stores. You click on the store that you use, or you've got a, because you have to sign in to do that. You've got a account with, and then leave that. I'd be massively, massively appreciative of that as ever. The colors. Kathmandu is orange. Oh, I see. No, but I agree with you, Steve. You're absolutely right. But what I mean is, like, this middle section is sort of a yellowy, orangey color. I get it. I understand. But I mean, yeah, it's not completely yellow. So I think that bit on the tuk-tuk's windscreen is yellow, I suppose. So yeah, there we go. There we go. God, I'm talking for ages on these. They're getting longer each week, aren't they? Is that a problem? Are you getting fed up? I think I'm just going for as long as it takes me to finish a beer, to be fair. Right, I'm going to wrap up. I've talked for 42 minutes, which is incredible. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. It's been brilliant to talk to you. It's been brilliant to share these things with you. As I say, your free copy of Koh Tao is waiting if you don't have one already. Sam says it's good. I'm having about 3 different conversations at once here. It's quite complicated. Bye, Ken says. Fantastic. I love this software. It's brilliant. Your free copy of Koh Tao is waiting. If you don't have it already, there's the link on the screen. Alison says she's enjoying me talking, so brilliant. That's fantastic. Martha's still in the chat. She's still there. Amazing. Goodbye. Have a great week. You too, Alison, and make sure you message me your address and I'll send that copy of Kathmandu over to you in the next day or so. I really appreciate all your help, because it was Alison that put myself and Ernie together for that chat. Because she's been watching me and she watches him, and I've watched him a couple of times but never thought to get in touch. So she sort of put the wheels in motion. So I'm grateful to her for that. Really, very grateful to her for that. Thanks so much. Have a great evening. Have a great rest of your week. And I will see you with more New York news. I haven't even read a section from it today, but I thought I'd almost done enough. More New York news